everybody. I've done some research, and it seems that the majority of times when people try to break into your home, they're going through a door. They don't normally come in through your front door, they come in through your back door. Why? Because the front door is a lot more visible, which only makes sense. So if you've got a side door or a back door somewhere that's not as visible, there's a good chance this is where they're going to try to get in. So how are they going to do that? Well, they might have a pry bar like this, where they basically inject it between your seal and your door, and they start hammering on it, and then eventually pry it open. They may have an actual crowbar, which probably be my guess, and it gives them a lot more strength to bust open your frame to get inside. Normally, the only thing holding the door closed is the deadbolt itself, and I'm going to show you that that's not exactly the perfect solution. The other thing they might try to do is they might try to kick your door through. So enough kicks planted on here may loosen up the frame enough that the deadbolt lets go. So what we want to do is we want to add another layer of protection to make sure that these guys can't get into your house, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So here we have the deadbolt in the closed position, and what we'll discover is that we're talking about an inch of deadbolt, and about 3/4 of an inch of that is what's actually going to go in behind the striker plate. So literally, the only thing keeping people out is that 3/4 inch. So it's only going to take a certain amount of pressure for them to break that out of the frame, and it isn't that hard to do. Let's take a look what we can do to improve that. So I got my Amazon package today, and I bought myself a little extra security for the doors, and it comes down to a pretty reasonable price. You get 2 devices for $30. Looks like it comes in a nice box. Security door lock. We open that thing up. The first thing we're going to see inside here, it's got some pretty heavy looking screws. These are actually feel like a good quality. A lot of times these screws aren't. They're aluminum screws or that type of thing, and they're not real good quality. These really feel heavy, and they've got some meat to it. And given the fact that I've got two devices to install, it seems like we've got a lot of extra screws because we've got a whole 2 packs of them. Okay, this is the device that I was looking to get. There are 2 in here, and as you can see on one end here, it's going to look like a hinge on your door, and the other end here is the locking mechanism, and I'm going to show you in a second how to do that. So let's take these out and have a quick look, see what we got for our money. It feels reasonably heavy. It doesn't feel plasticky or anything like that. You can hear the ching on the metal. It's some kind of a chrome plating on it, and it seems like it's relatively solid. I can't find anything wrong with this. The first thing I have to do is figure out exactly how to use it. So it appears in order to make this work, once we get it mounted, this is going to be mounted on the inside of our door frame. And then once it is, what we do is we just lift and pull, and this releases the latch on it. So it's going to be a whole lot easier to understand once I actually get it installed on the door. But it's a pretty simple, hinge device. Looks like this is a bit of a rubber strip here to protect your door from getting damaged, which is a good idea. So let's see how it's installed. So before you install anything, you want to make sure you can return this if you have to, and of course with Amazon that's very easy. What we want to do is we want to take this plate and this width of this plate, and we're going to ensure that we have enough room between the door jamb and the door itself to insert that. And in my case, I have lots of room to do that. Yours may not fit quite as well, so it's something that you definitely have to check out. We're going to take a look at how to install it, and after that we'll see how it works. The second thing that we want to check is we want to make sure that this plate is narrow enough to fit on the side of the door jamb here, and in my case it is. And we'll see that we have 3 main screws that we can install, and then an adjustable one. This is the one that you put in first, so it allows you to slide your plate back and forth and give you some adjustability to make sure we clear the door once it's installed. So I would recommend that the very first thing you do when you install this is you put that center screw in, and then what we're going to do is we're going to open the lock, close the door, close the lock, and make sure that everything fits, because if it doesn't, you can still slide it back and forth to make sure that everything does fit. Now, having said that, there's 2 ways you can install it. You can install it like this, put in your screws, and leave it in that fashion. what some people prefer to do, and I think the recommended method would be, we're going to trace the outline of this plate with a pencil, and then we're going to come back with a chisel, and we're going to chisel out this area so there's a bit of a depression here, so that this sits a little more flush against the jamb. Now, you don't have to do that. The instructions actually talk about that if you're doing a temporary or that type of thing, that you can actually just mount it like this, not having to cut that notch out. It's a matter of what works for you. So now that we know how it mounts, we want to figure out where to mount it. And remember the deadbolt, that we've got 3/4 of an inch of metal really stopping somebody from coming into your house. In my mind, we want to mount this just above that. And there's reason for that. It's going to support the deadbolt with an additional set of screws that will stop it from being kicked out. If you move this too high, or near the top of the door, or near the bottom of the door, what's going to happen is the bottom or the top may hold, but this part is going to still get knocked out, and we don't want that. We want to have this as an additional device. So I'm thinking we're probably 6 inches or so from the deadbolt itself to the top of the unit, and that way when the pressure comes onto the deadbolt, the secondary lock is in place to stop people from getting in. So I've saved you the pain of watching me screw in the plate, and for the time being I've just done the center one so that there's some adjustability, and I've already managed to adjust it. So now that it's in place, literally all you have to do is pull forward, it snaps into place, and it doesn't matter if your deadbolt is open or not, it's not going to open. So it's a pretty easy procedure, and I tried it surface mounted instead of chiseling it out, and it works just fine. And if you want to open it, you basically pull forward and you close it in place. This is a great piece of extra security to keep the bad guys out of your house. Remember, it's probably the back door that they're going to come to, so let's not give them any opportunities. Hope you found this useful. See you around the neighborhood. Stay safe.